A&W Third Pounder. In the 1980s, A&W restaurants did something very dangerous. They used logic. McDonald's was dominating the burger market with the Quarter Pounder, so A&W said, okay, what if we just give people more burger? And that's what they did. A third of a pound of beef. Same price as the Quarter Pounder. More food, same money. They ran taste tests. They won the taste tests. They launched a whole campaign. Slogan, "Third is the word," and sat back and waited for the money to roll in. It did not roll in. It didn't even trickle. Nobody bought the burger. So A&W hired a market research firm to figure out why their objectively better, objectively cheaper product was getting destroyed by a smaller one. And what the research firm came back with is, and I genuinely wish I was making this up, American customers believed that a third of a pound was less than a quarter of a pound because 3 is a smaller number than 4. That was it. That was the entire reason. A&W lost the burger war because a significant chunk of the adult population looked at 2 fractions and chose the wrong one. I've been staring at this fact for 3 days, and I still don't know what to do with it. McDonald's, by the way, didn't have to lift a finger. They just kept selling less food for the same price and won, which means the single greatest competitive advantage in the history of the American fast food industry is the American education system. And I don't know whether that's funny or terrifying, but it's definitely both. You'd think a company that's winning because its competitors' customers can't do math would just coast for a while. Well, the answer is no. McPizza. In 1989, McDonald's looked at Pizza Hut growing 10% a year, blacked out for a second, and decided to start selling pizza. Here's what you need to understand about McDonald's. Their entire operation is a machine engineered to put a Big Mac in your hand in 90 seconds. That's the whole business. Speed. So what did they do? They installed pizza ovens, $100,000 pizza ovens, in kitchens built for griddles. And then, and I had to read this twice to make sure it was real, they physically widened drive-through windows across the country because their pizza boxes didn't fit through the existing ones. That's not a product launch. That's a renovation project disguised as a menu item. At its peak, over 2,000 locations were serving McPizza. This was not a test. The problem was time. A McPizza took 11 to 16 minutes, during a rush 30. A Big Mac takes 90 seconds. So, you'd pull into the drive-thru expecting McDonald's, and instead you just sit there, and the pizza cost $6 to $9. This is the early 90s, when a burger cost about $1. So, you were paying the price of a nice lunch to sit in a parking lot next to a Ronald McDonald statue, questioning every decision you've ever made. Pizza Hut, smelling blood, immediately ran ads calling it McFrozen. By 2000, it was dead everywhere, except, and I love this, one single location. There is a 19,000 square foot McDonald's near Disney World in Orlando that still serves McPizza today. So technically, the McPizza survived. It just moved to Florida, which is where things go when they're not quite dead, but definitely not okay. But McDonald's did not learn from this, obviously. Mighty Wings. In 2013, they launched Mighty Wings, bone-in chicken wings, seasoned and fried at the drive-thru. And here's the cruel twist. Unlike everything else on this list, people actually like them. Good reviews, solid flavor, legitimately tasty chicken wings. They cost $1 each at McDonald's. I need you to hold those facts together because they're the entire story. You could walk into a McDonald's with $1 and buy an entire McChicken sandwich, bun, lettuce, mayo, a whole slab of chicken. Or you could hand over that same dollar and receive one wing. One. A single bone with some meat clinging to it. The result was 10 million pounds of unsold chicken wings. That number is real. 5,000 tons of wings that nobody wanted. McDonald's had to dump them at a loss, maybe the most expensive way a company has ever learned that their customers come to McDonald's because it's cheap, not because it's good. By the way, if you're learning something, subscribe. No McPizza, no Mighty Wings, just more failure stories so that you won't have to. Satisfreeze. This one doesn't need a long setup because the failure is right there in the name. In 2013, a year that should have been declared a federal emergency for fast food decision-making, Burger King unveiled a product called the Satisfry. They had spent 10 years developing it, a decade. The entire Obama administration came and went while Burger King was in a lab perfecting a crinkle-cut French fry with a special batter that absorbed less oil, giving you 20% fewer calories. The pitch was healthy fries. Two words that have never, in the history of the English language, been spoken by someone pulling into a Burger King parking lot. One industry researcher put it in a way that I think should be framed and hung in Burger King's corporate office. French fries are an indulgence, just like ice cream. You don't eat them if you're worried about your diet. The Satisfrees cost more, they tasted worse, and they still packed 340 calories, which is less than a regular fry, in the same way that getting punched 9 times is less than getting punched 10 times. Burger King killed them in under a year. A decade of development, murdered by the most obvious thing anyone could have told them on day one. People who eat fast food fries want fast food fries, and people who don't eat fast food fries don't go to Burger King. The Halloween Whopper, staying with Burger King because they've earned every second of this. Let's talk about October 2015, the Halloween Whopper. A regular Whopper on a pitch-black bun made with a one-steak sauce baked into the bread. It looked incredible. Dark, seasonal, Instagram-ready. Marketing was thrilled. Sales were strong. And then the next morning happened. Within hours, customers across the country started reporting that their bathroom experience had taken a turn. A very green turn. The food coloring that made the bun black was not being fully absorbed during digestion, and people were discovering this in the most private and alarming way a human being can discover anything. Twitter, which in 2015 still had the power to ruin your entire week, exploded. People were tweeting at Burger King's official account with the energy of someone who has been personally betrayed by a hamburger. The hashtag trended. News outlets picked it up. Somewhere in Burger King's headquarters, a marketing executive watched their seasonal promotion become a national conversation about the color green. The Halloween Whopper was supposed to be limited time anyway, but it never came back. Some fast food failures are about money. Some are about logistics. This one was about biology. And I think we can all agree that a burger that changes the color of your... You know what? Let's just move on. All right. If this list has a king, and I promise you it does, then the crown, the throne, and the entire kingdom belong to this next failure, and nothing else on this list even comes close. The Arch Deluxe. In 1996, McDonald's had a crisis that nobody gave them. The company just woke up one day, after 40 years of being the most successful family restaurant on the planet, and decided it was embarrassed by its own identity. Too many kids, too many Happy Meals, too many plastic toys. Not enough class. So they hired a head chef at McDonald's, named Andrew Selvaggio, and asked him to build a burger for adults. A burger with, quote, a grown-up taste. What Selvaggio made was the Arch Deluxe, a potato flour bun, peppered bacon, and a Dijon mustard mayo sauce that McDonald's executives were convinced, genuinely, sincerely convinced, would redefine the American hamburger. They launched it at the Ritz-Carlton in Chicago, at the Ritz-Carlton, for a McDonald's burger, and at the launch event, and I need you to brace yourself for this, they served the press a promotional wine. McDonald's made a wine for a burger. It was called Deluxe Line Wine, and it was a real liquid in a real bottle handed to real journalists. I've been writing about business failures for a while now, and this might be the most delusional sentence I've ever had to type. They spent $300 million, total, development, marketing, advertising, the most expensive product launch in the history of fast food. The ad campaign showed literal children gagging at the Arch Deluxe, making disgusted faces, recoiling from it, because someone in a boardroom decided the best way to sell a burger was to tell your biggest and most loyal customer base, this isn't for you. You know who this was for? Apparently? Adults. Sophisticated adults. Adults who would see a commercial of children being disgusted by food and think, finally, a McDonald's burger that speaks to me. Those adults, it turns out, do not exist. Or if they do, they eat at restaurants without a giant clown as a mascot. The focus groups had loved the Arch Deluxe, but focus groups are just rooms full of people who volunteered to eat free food and give opinions. Which is not the same thing as the exhausted parent in a drive-thru at 6:30 on a Tuesday who just needs something fast and cheap and doesn't need their hamburger to have a philosophy. $300 million. Gone. The Arch Deluxe is not just the biggest failure in fast food. It's one of the most expensive product disasters in the history of American consumer goods. And the lesson was something every McDonald's customer already knew. McDonald's works because it's McDonald's. The Big Mac doesn't need a wine pairing. The drive-thru doesn't need a head chef. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with being the place where a 7-year-old has the best night of their week. Every failure on this list is the same story told 6 different ways. A company that already knew exactly who it was woke up one morning and decided to be someone else. $300 million, 10 million pounds of chicken, 10 years of fry research. And the answer was always right there, and it was always free. Know who you are. If you've watched till the end, like and share. Subscribe if you want more stories like these.